Hi there, and welcome back to part 3 of how to write an article. And in this video we're going to be talking about how to insert a targeted hyperlink with optimized anchortext. So what's happened in the article that we've written already is we've gone and found anchor text and hyperlinks that support our writing, and that's all been very valid and a very useful process. But sometimes we will need to instruct you as a writer to quote a particular reference and also to use optimized anchor text. And here is an example of where we need to do that. So we've got targeted hyperlink here, which is the anz.com small business products and services finance loans. So we've got that open here. So we need to use this web page as a reference in our article. And we've also got anchor text. Now we're not going to use all of this anchor text. This is going to be a choice. So we're only going to use one of these anchor texts. And the reason why there are several here to choose from is because we want it to be natural and non-advertorial. Anyway, let's just go ahead and insert it, and we'll see what we mean by that when we do it. So this web page here is all about business loans. So we need to find somewhere in our article where we've talked about business loans. So I'm doing a find, it's down here in the alternative finance options. We've got the business loans section. Now you can see here in this article we've already got an anchor text with business loans, but it's going to the wrong hyperlink. So this one here that we've already got in our article is going to lend.com.au, which is this URL here, and we want it to point to this web page instead. So there's two things that we need to do. Firstly, we need to change the hyperlink, but we can't just switch it up to ANZ if it's not relevant. And if we read the text here, it says, firstly there's a typo there, so good thing we picked that up, but it says if you decide that a small business loan is the way forward, then you'll want to check out the 2017 Lend Guide to Getting the Small Business Loan. Now if we change that to the ANZ domain extension, that's no longer going to be relevant, because it says you'll want to check out the Lend Guide, which is this one here, but the URL is pointing to ANZ. So I'm going to tell you what not to do first, and then I'll tell you what to do. So if we were really lazy, we could just change that to check out the ANZ Guide to Getting the Small Business Loan. Yeah, and then this web page kind of looks like the ANZ Guide to Getting the Best Small Business Loan. But going back to our brief, we've also got optimized anchor text. So we need to choose one of these sentences or word structures and put it in this paragraph here or under this heading, alternative finance options. We need to add these words into that sentence. So I mean, the most obvious one to me would be applying for a business loan. And you see the words here. If you decide that small business loans are the way forward, we could just change that to applying for a business loan is the way forward. And we don't want that text to stand out, so we will make that Arial 10. Now we can see we've got applying for a business loan there, and that is the optimized anchor text. So we're going to copy the target hyperlink, and we're going to make the keywords the optimized anchor text applying for a business loan. I'm going to put the hyperlink in, and there it is. So now we need to get rid of the other hyperlink. And this kind of reads okay. Then it says, then you'll want to check out the ANZ guide to getting the small business loan. Now, I'm just going to point something out here. This is what we would call advertorial, because we're basically telling the reader to go to the ANZ web page if they want to get the best small business loan. Yeah? So we actually want to avoid being advertorial. You see, all our other references. So let's just have a look at another reference, just as a comparison. It says crowdfunding can easily be used to raise capital from the crowdfunding network of accredited investors. Crowdfunding allows startups to raise money in a variety of methods. Now, this is less advertorial because we're not telling somebody necessarily to go to the crowdfundinsider.com webpage to find accredited investors. In fact, this may even be a little bit advertorial, and we might want to remove that hyperlink, because we don't want advertorial hyperlinks. So let's use that as a trigger to go back and read through all our hyperlinks and see which ones are advertorial and which ones are referential, because we want the referential ones, we do not want the advertorial ones, unless you're specifically instructed to create an advertorial hyperlink, and that will be in your brief. So this anchor text here, 8 out of 10 startups fail, is in fact a myth. Is that advertorial? No, we're not selling anything. We're just pointing to some research. Again, the second highest reason for failure, we're pointing to research. It's not advertorial. The next hyperlink, the purpose for profit. The purpose is profit. Is that advertorial? It's a plug. We're plugging these authors, but we're not advertising their book. We're not telling anybody to go out and buy the book. We're merely deferring to that book. So again, here we go. This is a reference to a quote. This one here is a reference to statistics, so we didn't do that research, we need to acknowledge that. If you decide that applying for a business loan is the way forward, then you'll want to check out the ANZ, we might just say the ANZ business loan page, website. That's okay. It's a bit of a plug. It's a little bit advertorial, but when you put it in context of the whole article, we might get away with it, and that's part of the brief here on this article, was to have the targeted hyperlink and have the optimized anchor text. So when you get that in your brief, it kind of puts you under a little bit of pressure because you don't want to be advertorial, but at the same time you need to get it in there, otherwise the article won't be accepted. So it's up to you how creative you can get, and obviously if you had this information before you wrote the article, it would be a little bit easier to incorporate it in a more natural way. So kind of cooking the egg before we're breaking the shell here, but I hope you get the point. So let's just go through and have a look at the rest of our anchor text, and just make sure it's on point. So this one here, that's a reference to some research. Again, this is an acknowledgement of the finance resource, so that's a reference, and this one here is a reference. So all of the other anchor text is looking good. Let's beat this one a bit further and see if we can get some of the other optimized anchor text in there. And I've just had another idea. Couple of ideas here I think that we could get in there as alternatives, and we could even make it less advertorial. So let's, for argument's sake, just remove that one, and we'll say we'll keep the sentence here, but if you decide that applying for a business loan is the way forward, let's have a look here. Let's say if you consider your small business funding options, this needs to be REL 10, so we might say after you consider, we'd say if after you consider your small business funding options, you decide that applying for a small business loan is the way forward, then you'll you might even say you know, there are many companies that offer business loans in Australia. So we have now got we've got a lot of choices here. So we have now got two options there for optimized anchor text. Let's just organize this a bit better. That's now off the list. So we've now got these two options for Optimized Anchortext. So we've got both of those phrases in the article. Consider your small business funding options. Consider your small business funding options. So we could make that the anchor text, or we've got companies that offer small business loans in Australia. We could also make that the anchor text. They're both good options. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, but we're only going to have one. We don't need two. So there you have it. I hope that goes some way to explaining how to insert optimized anchor text with a targeted hyperlink. Thanks very much for paying attention to this video. In the next video, I'll show you how to upload your finished article onto Google Drive with the correct formatting. Thanks for paying attention, and I'll chat to you in the next video.